Hello, everybody. It is me, Demetra Kaye, and I hope you're having a great day. I am sitting here with Donovan, the recovering Democrat Sadiq, also known as the Black Yul Brynner. And the purpose of the Demetra Kaye Show is to promote Black love, knowledge, and understanding of all things that go on in the Black community to make us an even better people, with the emphasis on even, because we're great people, but we can always strive to do better. We are not live. I should say that right at the top, but we'll be live 5 p.m. Central Time. I think we're on Tornado Watch here in Houston. So hopefully it's, by this area and everybody's area. That's what I pray, that it just dissipates and it doesn't happen. But nevertheless, that is the plan. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about white guilt being a thing of the past, right? Not me saying that, but this is what them folks are saying. Of course, I'm going to get into why we are having this conversation today. So in the meantime, Donovan, what say you?
Great. Good morning to you guys. Having a great day so far. Welcome to the show. Again, here we are. It is May 5th, 6th. Today's the 6th. May 6th. May 24th, Columbus, Ohio. African Diaspora News Channel, Black Expo. Get your tickets. You can get the link on Demetra's Facebook page, my Facebook page. Go over there and check it out. Don't forget to download the African Diaspora News Channel app. You can get that at Google Play, Apple Store. See some great videos from Demetra Kaye, Brother Phil Scott, Vicky Dillard, and you also see videos that you won't necessarily see on YouTube. Very exclusive content for members that are there. Also, we have a scrolling banner at the bottom here. If you guys want to have these great conversations and continue to have them, you can do so by Cash App Demetra Kaye, PayPal, Venmo, Cash Money Order, and all those great things. Again, we are not live right now, and this conversation that we are going to have is going to be kind of touchy, I guess, and we're going to see where it goes. I want you guys to know, a lot of times when we come on the show, or I come on the show, I don't know what we're talking about. I have no clue. I'm just sitting here, just like you guys, and I'm going to come to a conclusion, whatever. But speaking of shows, Demetra, I went back and I was, I've been going to bed like 5 in the morning, and I will tell you, I've been looking at some of our old videos, and man, you're talking about 8 years plus ago. We started doing these videos and seeing how young we were. Well, I look the same. But to go back and do that. So if you guys are interested in seeing some of the videos, please go to Demetra's Facebook page and just scroll down the history of it. And you're going to see some of us actually talking and predicting things that actually happened in the future, that happened, and we started all these great things. So we've come a long way, and we got a long way to go still. So again, this is going to be an interesting topic, so I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and I see some of those videos way back in the gap. I'm like, ooh, I had a whole lot of different type of hairstyles and a whole bunch of stuff, but nevertheless, it's still the same old gal. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into it for the sake of time. So you guys may or may not know, I've heard the conversation about a white woman by the name of Shiloh Hendricks from Minnesota, Rochester to be exact, where there's a viral video of her cussing out a 5-year-old who we learn now is, I guess, autistic from what they're saying. Now, I won't play the video. I'm sure y'all seen it. Y'all can go find the Shiloh Hendricks. Is all over the place. She called the little black boy 5011 N-words, okay? And then the man by the name, what is his name? Shamar Omar. He's 30 years old. He was there in the park, and he was like, what? I'm paraphrasing. Why are you calling this little black kid the N-word, this, that, and the other? And she was following the kid. And he says, what are you going to do? Like attack him? And so she was like, basically, oh, he stole something out of my diaper bag or whatever the case is. Now, I don't know how true it is if he actually did. This is what she was saying. He stole something out of my diaper bag. And he says, yeah, but you can't call him that. Well, she says, well, if he's acting like it, and she flipped him off a whole bunch of times, bam, it goes viral. Now, normally, when you see that kind of stuff go viral, people tend to lose their jobs and all this. And you have this mea culpa. Oh, I'm so sorry. I was just, whatever. But no, not her. She double, triple, quadruple down. She went on Give, Send, Go. Of course, you guys have heard that before. Give, Send, Go is the fundraising portal that a lot of people have used, specifically that of Carmelo Anthony. You guys heard about that in Frisco, Texas, where he is going to be on trial for taking the life of Austin Metcalf. Well, he was able to raise a copious amount of funds, somewhere in the $500,000 range. And of course, them folks were very mad about it, but they weren't mad when Daniel Penny and Kyle Rittenhouse and all these other people were able to raise a lot of money to defend themselves. But when somebody black does it, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, she went on Gibson Go and says, oh my God, they doxed me. I'm afraid for my life. I need to move. My family's in danger. So from that point, she's raised over $700,000. Now, this seemed to have taken place, I think, sometime last week, in the beginning of last week. So she's over $700,000 raised. She's trying to get $1 million. Now, of course, a lot of them people that look like her, and I'm going to show y'all in just a little bit, they have rallied to her defense. And then as of recently, it seems like they've changed, because when you donate, you can write a note as to why you're donating. People were saying all kind of N-words and good for you and one for us. So they've changed it, and now their names are saying stuff like monkeys and this, that, and the other, eradicate the monkeys. Of course, you know who they're talking about, or whatever the case is. And so, yeah, white supremacy has decided as well that white guilt is over. We're done with the white guilt. Now I'm going to show you some things that I've seen. So here, you see there, and let me actually, I don't think I need to remove it. But there, as you can see, somebody, Descendant West, says, white guilt is dead. It remains dead. We have killed it, right? And they put up her Give, Send, Go, and that's the lady right there. I'll say the word lady loosely, but she's the one that's raised all this money and called the little boy a bunch of N-words or whatever the case is. And then let's go over to Melanie Mack. She says, you've missed the entire point. White guilt is dead. Now she's responding to Chris, who says, I don't think people should become a millionaire for using racial slurs, because she's on her way to becoming a millionaire. So again, the battle cry is rip white guilt. America's back, right? You can see them mounting the flag. Of course, that's an iconic scene there. And then Mr. Evan, he says, white standing up for themselves against race-baiting minorities. Whites are no longer afraid to be called racist in public, right? So white guilt is dead. Now, if you're like me, and I know a lot of you are, when did y'all feel guilty about anything you've done, especially the black people? When did this guilt start taking place? When were you guys guilt-ridden about slavery, Jim Crow, and even today, a lot of the things that y'all have done, right? Now, of course, again, they're giving all this money. They're making her their hero. Oh, she's a hero because she's using the N-word unapologetically. So now we should just all get out in the public square and say N-word. Don't say it too close, right? Because they ain't that damn free. But nevertheless, they're saying that they no longer feel white guilt. Now, a lot of that might be because of Trump and the MAGA movement. They feel like they should just be, as free as they want to be. And why should they feel bad about being racist toward us? So we're going to actually have that conversation. Of course, as I always say, we should never get mad about that word unless they say it to your face. Then you do what you need to do. Like I said, let the chips and the teeth fall where they may. Y'all do what y'all want to do with that. But we don't own that word. It does not belong to us. It never has, never will. As the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, Farrakhan said, and James Baldwin have all said, we did not create that word, but we act like that word. So we need to stop associating ourselves with something that was created for us, because they did not put N-words on that plantation. They did not kidnap N-words. They kidnapped a whole lot of people that were upwardly doing things that were noble and a whole host of things. So let's keep that in mind when we think about that word. And then also I should say that the little boy, there's a GoFundMe set up, and he's raised $341,000. So about half of what Miss Pasty Ann right here has raised for calling him the N-word. Donovan?
Here we go. Observation. One thing I've observed, it seems like the white women, fellas, those of you guys that love the cave chicks, seems like these white women be doubling and tripling down on white supremacy to me. I mean, I don't understand these brothers that just love these cave chicks and, whatever. These women stand up and uphold their race, or whatever you want to call it. They are the most So I noticed in the thing, a lot of the people there were white women that are talking tough, right? And I would also say that a lot of people that are being racist are these people that have been imported and identify as white. So there's a lot of white adjacent people that come here with that BS from the Latin American countries and from the Ukraine, and they're just doubling down on what goes on in their home country, and they brought that bull crap here. I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying, I'm just kind of noticing, because even here in Southern California where I'm at, you got a lot of Latinos who identify as white, so look up LULAC, and that'll tell you a lot. But Demetra, I have a question for you. I agree with everything that you just said. And if I was an Asian and somebody called me a certain word, an Asian derogatory term, I could deduce them to a crime and sue them and have the government come in and lock them up based on a hate crime incident based on that word, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I got
Okay.
my mouth.
Yeah. So what I want to ask you is this: there was a hate crime bill that the Asians got that protected them. So again, if I'm an Asian and somebody called me a derogatory Asian term, I could literally sue that person, or the federal government can step in my behalf on a hate crime, and that's a crime. So I'm going to push back on you on this. According to Roland Martin, the hate crime was Asian hate crime bill was for us too. So why isn't this black boy and his parents not charging this white woman with a hate crime?
Yeah, and absolutely. And I should also say that the police is investigating, but we know how that goes, right? And yeah, that's the point that I also brought up last Sunday, is that Roland Martin is telling everybody that the Asian hate crime bill is for everybody, but it's not. It's actually just for them. Because like you said, if it was for us, then what are we talking about, right? It's clear hate crime has, occurred by calling that little kid that. But of course, they have to investigate to, make sure everything is together and all that other stuff. But no, it does not benefit us at all. Like I said, too, honestly, I don't care what white people do. I don't. I don't have that kind of time to care about anything that they're doing. The thing that bothers me is that they care what we're doing, right? Because we know that they raised that money for that white woman who's clearly racist in a juxtaposition that of Carmelo Anthony. They were mad that black people raised fund for a 7-year-old kid, and so that was their answer. They're hailing her as a hero. But like I said, I'm not never, when I say never, never shocked by anything that they do, because when you know, you know. Now, I had this conversation years ago with a brother, as a matter of fact. And I said that them folks are innately evil. Innately. He says, innately? You mean, because innately means naturally. I says, yes. I said, this is not even my opinion. The Nation of Islam, it's talked about it all the time, and it's just true. That's why they say, do the math mentally. Not numerically, but mentally. Everywhere that they have gone, every civilization that they have touched, they have wreaked havoc, caused chaos, and have left that civilization and their people, or whatever it is, civilization, same thing, in shambles and dilapidated and pillaged and plundered and a whole host of other things. So when I say I'm not surprised that they're innately evil, that's not me, my opinion. It's just look at history. Look at everywhere they've gone. And this is the argument I always have too. They talk about, we don't want to be around black people. And then, first of all, suckers, if you didn't want us around you, you shouldn't have brought us around you. So you ultimately brought us around you. So he was minding our black business. Whether we were overseas or we were here, we were minding our black business, and your laziness and your chicanery had you go kidnap people who was not thinking about you And then now 2025, talking about, well, I don't want to be around y'all. We didn't come be around y'all. Y'all came and was around us. And then when you couldn't benefit from us no more, now you mad, oh, y'all this and y'all that. Just like I told that one, I almost, I have to catch myself. I said the other day on the show, we're talking about we do all the most crimes. Like, who you think we learning from? We learned that from y'all. But see, y'all want to gloss over the crimes that y'all committed. The most heinous crime in American history is what you did to Black people on those plantations. See, that's why I said, too, parents, be careful of what the school system teaches your child about slavery. Because they're going to tell them, they had to pick a little cotton, and then they were able to go to sleep. But they don't tell you they pick cotton from sun up to sundown. They had to collect 300 pounds at least of cotton a day. Have you weighed 300 pounds of cotton? That's a lot of cotton you have to pick. And they tell you that they, didn't have no tools, no gloves. They bled and they didn't have no shoes. And they don't tell you that it was the sun was beaming on them. They didn't tell you that they was underfed. And the diet that we eat now, and I hate a lot of it, is because we ate the scraps back then. They don't tell you when they retired from the fields that they retired in slave shacks where you could see through it, and snakes and bugs and all kind of stuff was still getting it. They don't tell you that the mom they was raping the women and the men. They don't talk about those crimes. They want to talk about the stuff that we are doing. And let's keep it a buck. Yeah, there's certain type of crimes that we commit more, but they commit most of the crimes. So just think about that when they try to tell you how bad you are and why we don't want to be around you. Is like, first of all, sucker, we wasn't trying to be around you. And don't you ever forget, if we are a certain way, we learned that from your great goddamn granddaddy.
That was very, very deep. I'm glad you brought up the fact of the thing of the crimes. It's funny when people say, oh, Black people create most of the crimes. Wasn't it Wall Street that banked and tanked the stock market and the housing market in 2008? Wasn't that Wall Street? White crimes. All this, all the big money is, nobody talks about the big money that gets stolen. Even right now, what's going on in the stock market right now? Who is initiating that? We know it ain't Black people. In general, there's not enough of us to say, hey, there's that one Black guy that's doing all this stuff. Mostly everybody that's up there in Wall Street is identified as white. Okay, these are the big shot collars and all that other stuff. The Birkin bags and all this other stuff. We're now finding out, which I don't know why people did not know, that people are buying a brand, right? It's just insane. But they always identify, well, most of the crimes are committed by Black people. But the crimes that matter the most, in my opinion, housing, medical fraud that's going on, all this, the stuff that really matters to people, and you're worried about a guy that's taking some fruit out of the stand, and you're putting him in jail for 3 strikes for the rest of his life. It's kind of ludicrous how they think of these things. But here's another thing that I kind of sit here and I wonder. We're Generation X, Demetra, and now you've got Generation Y, and you've got the millennials. At the end of apartheid, South Africa was talking about this rainbow nation and how everything was going to be great and stuff. And notice in 30-something years, nothing's changed in South Africa. The whites still own everything, and and it's all, oh, the white people are just being discriminated against. Oh my gosh, they're the minority. Oh my God, they're just dogging us out. Whatever. Here in America, as Generation X, and I look at some of my friends that I grew up with, and I've asked you this several times on the show. Why is it that Generation X is so damn racist and Generation Y is so damn racist? Where did this come from when we're that first generation of the integrated kind of United States type thing? I know we had the busing problems and stuff like that. Why is it that these people are so rabidly racist against Black people when they didn't experience what our parents experienced growing up, separate but equal, or separate but unequal? Let me say that correctly. Separate but unequal and all that other stuff. We grew up in a time where, hey, I could go over here if I want to. I can go do this if I want to. I can go to this school, if I'm in the zone or whatever. They're going to bus me to this school, whatever the deal is. Everything's supposed to be kumbaya, but I see these rabid, racist people that are my age and younger, and I'm saying, where did they get this stuff from? Now, I know, we have grandparents, and of course the grandparents is going to indoctrinate that into their children. But it just makes you wonder, people that have never experienced not discrimination, but like, these people grew up with privilege, basically. They grew up with privilege, and they act like they have been so oppressed all of their lives. So my question would be, where are they getting this idea that they are oppressed, when if you look at from the time of the baby boomers or Generation Xers till now, the wealth gap has just been benefiting them more and more and more, but yet they keep blaming us, especially, in other groups.
Well, I mean, you answered it. For the most part, is that it's learned. It's never gone anyway. It just anywhere rather. It just got dormant. Now, what I mean that got dormant is that because it came a time where being racist wasn't acceptable, so they had to go underground with it. Not that they totally went underground, but then you had these so-called civil rights laws, and it was okay. It wasn't cool to be openly racist. You couldn't just walk down the street and say, "Hey, N-word." That became unacceptable. It wasn't fashionable anymore. So it's not that it ever went away. I mean, it's the equivalent of somebody, I don't know, going to your grandmama's house and she still got the plastic on the sofa that she had from 1970. It ain't fashionable no more, but that don't mean she ain't gonna still have you sit down on it and stick to it when you try to get up, right? So it's the same thing. It just went dormant. But now, with this removal of this so-called white guilt, and like I said, when did you ever feel guilty? But with the removal of this white guilt, now they're saying we want to be back and out in the open, in the public square, and just be able to just let the N-word rip whenever we feel like it, So again, it's been covert. Before it was overt, the plantation, Jim Crow was overt, then it got to be covert. You had to speculate. That's when you had all these anti-discrimination laws come in, and you could sue people for it. But the other thing is, like a lot of people understand, it's hard to prove discrimination unless you have the smoking pew-pew, right? Like you got the in black and white or, video. It's kind of hard to prove. You got to prove that a person didn't like you or they fired you or whatever. Because,
intention.
Right, because you're racist or because they were racist, but it didn't go anywhere. It just went shh. We still gonna have these conversations at the table, how we hate the N-words and this, that, and the other. They come to our restaurants, we're gonna do, which is why I said I don't be liking to eat out, because especially nowadays, people really feel, like I said, I want my racists out in the open. I want to know you racist, okay? I don't want it, because I got, I think, as they say, discernment of spirits, right? That's one of my gifts. Some people say it's sixth sense. And I could just feel when somebody's energy is off. I've often walked in establishments and said, nah, I'm good. I tell you all the time about when I walked in Jefferson Square in New Orleans. There's a bunch of them folks up in there. And I told my daughter, I said, nah, I ain't going in there. She says, why? I said, it's too many of them up in there. And then I later learned it's where it was a slave auction where they used to trade slaves. But my spirit was uneasy. And plus, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us not to be around a whole bunch of them. No way. So racism never went away. It just went underground. And now they're trying to bring it back.
So let me get this straight. They want to be openly racist. And I have no problem with that. In this country, express yourself. Do it good. I hope they are also willing to take the ass whipping that comes with that. There's a lot of things when you do stuff, there's repercussions to what you do. For every action, there's a reaction. So as long as they're willing to defend their actions, so be it. But it's going to get a lot darker. It's going to get a lot dimmer. But I want to ask you this, and I want to ask the people that are watching this. Have you guys noticed that the Democratic Party is starting to shift to the center, but more to the left? I mean, more to the right in regards to picking up Republican mantra, because again, white Republican, white Democrat, white supremacy. Have you guys noticed that's what's kind of going down as people are shifting? Because a lot of these white, racists or whatever you want to call these people, they're not Republicans. These are Democrats. A lot of them are Democrats that are coming up, and and I'm just prefacing that because we've been indoctrinated to think, oh, the Republicans are racist, whatever. White supremacy is white supremacy, no matter how you look at it. I was talking to my mom last night, and we're getting into our political stuff, and I've always said, I don't care. You've always taught me them folks are them folks. Just because they have a D or R in front of their name or how they vote, that ain't going to change the premise of who they are. So we as a people have to be cognizant of that. Hey, I get it. That's your buddy. That's your friend. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, I'm on this side. They're going to be on that side. I'm going to anticipate and accept the fact that they're going to be on that side. And a lot of our people need to start waking up to the reality that little girlfriend or your homeboy that you think is your homeboy, when it comes down to it, you're going to have to pick a side. You ain't going to be able to sit the fence here. You're going to have to pick a side. And I will almost always guarantee you, even in Hollywood, they don't make movies like that, where the black people are rising up and the white guy jumps on the black people's side. The movie Rosewood, the woman was lying and they still did what they did. So we better be cognizant of what's happening today. And I know it's scary and people want this kumbaya moment, but that ain't the world we live in. And if you're a praying person and all that other stuff, and you're into your Bible or your Quran or whatever, all of this stuff is supposed to come to pass for the Bible to be true. And I'm not a super religious person. I'm very spiritual. But the fact of the matter is, it's going to get a whole lot uglier. And ain't no man going to solve these problems.
Yeah. And, along with, I think what the white guilt really is saying is they're going to say and do whatever, right? What they're really saying is we want y'all to be okay with it. We want y'all, because let's keep it a buck. Even back in the day, our people weren't okay with that. They just didn't have a choice, right? They were subjugated to the max. So they were never okay with that. But what they're saying is when they want to get rid of the white guilt is we want y'all to be okay with us being able to do it. We don't want y'all to be mad. We don't want you to strike back. We don't want y'all to whoop our behinds in the middle of the public square. We want y'all to just be like, well, because you're white, you could say it. And I like it. They want us to be all right with that, right? Because again, we know that they've never felt any guilt for anything that they've done to black people or anybody that's not like them. For that matter, is they want us to accept it. And of course, we never will, which is why they know who to say that to, right? They're not going to be too free. And trust me, they're not, because they're not built like that. They're not. Unless they riding up with a bunch of horses and with some flames. But even then, it's going to be some get back. See, again, we're not under the subjugation that we used to be. They want you to be all right with it. And in regards to their woman's mouth is a prayer book to them. To us, it's a death sentence. And I don't need to take y'all through history. Y'all know, ain't every time she opened her mouth, a town was burnt down. A black man was lynched, or, something to that degree, because they think, oh my God, Miss Ann is not going to lie. Now they know she was lying. A lot of times she was the biggest hussy in the town. And they knew that. It's been proven in history. This ain't me because I wasn't there. I'm just telling you because I do read, right? But it's been proven in history that oftentimes Miss Ann was a hussy, but and knew she was getting her loosey-goosey all around the town. Yes, she was. Her husband knew that. And the man that she was screwing with knew it. But it's a great time for us to mount up, put on the hoods, and go destroy the Negroes' towns because we jealous, we hateful, and we ain't getting none of that money that they keeping within their community. So we're going to say, oh, well, we believe, why would a white woman lie? Because a lot of times when black people's like, no, that ain't what happened. Like in Rosewood, we seen Jethro running up out of there. He was getting her funky draws. It wasn't no black man. Oh, how dare you? A white woman would never lie. And of course, you know, they went in there. So to them, it's a prayer book, her mouth. To us, it's a death sentence, which is why we also got to be cognizant of these things. Now, there's some who talk about, oh, we want a race war and this, that. And first of all, ain't nobody trying to be in a war with y'all, no way, shape, or form, right? And again, we also got to realize that white supremacy is a false idea. Because if you say that it is a thing, that means that you are conceding that you are inferior. So we always got to remember to say that it's a false idea. Now, I say all that to say, Black people, we got to stop with a lot of the foolishness we doing. Stop letting them get our goat, as the older people used to say, which means pull your lever, pull the trigger you, whatever the case is, and start to say, you know, I don't care what they say. Like I said, we really got to get to the point where I don't care what you do. We have got to organize. And the other thing I want to say too about our people back in the day that built something, that's why I like this here. Via Lararo, Madam C.J. Walker, she had Black men and women working for her. She was the first multi-level marketing company in America, okay? They got the blueprint from her. A lot of times we kick our people in the tailbone by talking a lot of garbage about our people. We ain't this, we ain't that. Well, we got to stop that, because that's believing a false idea of white supremacy about us. We used to build towns and civilizations and things, even though Jim Crow and all that was going on, and we know what happened to it. Them folks happened to it. So we got to unbelieve that, because as my father always says, we are the descendants of pyramid builders. We have built civilizations. Those folks were not able to do it, which is why they came and got us. We got to stop walking in the light of the N-word, right? Again, going back to what I said, they call us that. Farrakhan says, and we act like that. We got to stop subscribing to that. Start thinking more so of pyramid builders, because when we start thinking that way, then we don't care what this pasty woman says or any of that other stuff. They could raise $500 million for her, and it wouldn't make me no damn. You know why? Because Black people still, we got to do what we got to do. Up you my nation, accomplish what you will. We got to do for self, and a whole host of other things we've been called to do. Never mind what they doing. It's about what we're doing.
So with this message, as we see these people are being emboldened and doing what they're doing, you got a lot of people out there that peddle fear into the community. Oh, well, you know, blah, 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 blah. You know, what would you say to do or to react when you are confronted with somebody who might do something of derogatory toward you?
Well, I talk about emotional intelligence a lot. I kind of feel like that's part of my platform, emotional intelligence, which basically means have a command and control of your own emotions. Sometimes you only have, and actually, this is a derivative, if you will, if not probably the same thing of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He says, think 5 times before you speak. I like to say also think 5 times before you act, right? Because I always say, and I teach this, what is it going to cost me? Somebody calls me the N-word, or they do something, this, that, the other. What is it going to cost me to react? Is it going to cost me my job? Is it going to cost me some money? Is it going to cost me some time in jail? Is it going to cost me my life? Now, I know back in the day, we used to all hear sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt. Well, we know that words do hurt. But my thing is, words hurt from who? Now, my mama called me a name. That's a different story. My daddy called me a name. My homie called me a name. That's a different story. But a stranger, why would I concede any power to somebody I don't know? I'm not saying we don't get triggered. We do. But for me, I'm like, I don't know you, heifer. Like when I be seeing these fights and stuff taking place all over the internet, I'm like, and what was said to get you to the point where you rolling around fighting, they got no drawers on, your dress is all up, your wig is snatched off. And I saw a video and I sent it to you of a bouncer, I guess a security guard somewhere. He was at a club and he had like 10 sisters on him, and he was pow. He was knocking them down. I said it was, 10 on one black man versus 10 gorillas. That was probably mean, but that's kind of what I saw. But what gets you to that point to where you fighting people you don't know? Even if you said, you ugly, I'm gonna go to jail. You gonna scratch my face up. You gonna snatch me bald because you called me ugly. And we ugly somebody, right? So we got to get control of that. So that's what you do. You get control and say, I think 5 times before I react, 5 times before I speak. Because what is it going to cost me? I don't know you. And you think about that every time you react, especially somebody you don't know, you have literally given the power to somebody you don't know to put a key in your back and make you react.
So basically, you're saying when she tells you you're not the father, don't know. I'm joking. That's something totally different. Right? You know, a thing of passion. But yeah, we're gonna have to start thinking smarter, and we're going to have to start thinking smarter, because it seems to me, Demetra, a lot of this foolishness that is going on with them folks is another way to get us incarcerated and to get those numbers up in the prison industrial complex, because the way a lot of us are going to react emotionally. Black people are very emotional people, and you know, we lead with our emotions, unfortunately, and we are going to have to start thinking before we act. And so I think that's kind of good that we're talking about that and we put that information out there. Do not be baited into a situation that is not that serious at all. It is not that serious at all. Cinco de Mayo, I'm going to pivot real quick. Cinco de Mayo just happened yesterday, and I just have a question for you, Demetra. You're there in Houston. I'm here in LA. It was very quiet here in LA. Even though it was raining, it was very, very quiet. And that's very telling, because you know, Cinco de Mayo is a very great celebration day for a lot, especially the Mexicans, but a lot of people in Latin America. And you know, what are your takes on why these things that back a year ago or 2 years ago and 3 years ago was pretty festive, now you almost didn't hear anybody out there? And I get it. I know Trump is on this thing and nobody wants to get snatched up like that. Where are your papers? I get it. But the idea of to me, it's kind of saying that, yeah, there's some stuff going on to where you don't even want to be outdoors and do what you normally do. That's saying a lot about what's going on with the immigration policy.
And before we pivot to that, because I agree, I want to just say this to them folks, because I know y'all be watching sometimes. And if I start to freeze up, forgive me, I think you can hear me. I'm going to say this to you folks. Just because Black people are being taught to think, don't you ever think that we are not fatigued and we are not tired. And everybody ain't going to sit back and say, you know what? I'm not going to let you put a key in my back. Somebody is going to rise to the challenge. Somebody is going to say, I'm tired. And you will never get another time to disrespect me. I'm tired to the point of I'm done. I'll have nothing else to lose. But you will not disrespect me. You will not come in my personal space. You will not put your hands on me. You will not call me names. See, when people get to that point, and I'm going to tell y'all better watch your time to kill. Y'all better think about that last example of the brother Rodney Hinton that did the ultimate to the police officer. That's fatigue. See, y'all talking about y'all tired of not being able to say, for y'all to be having white guilt. Y'all tired of that? That ain't tired. You just tired because we want to accept it. But real fatigue is what we have been through for almost 500 years in this country under y'all tyranny, right? You're living in a day and age, and I'm just sending this out to a warning to you. The next time you feel froggy with somebody Black, they may leap, and you ain't gonna like the way they leap. That's all I'm saying. Y'all better take heed to the Black fatigue, because it's a real thing, and I wasn't even trying to rhyme. Now, getting back to the Cinco de Mayo, yeah, it was quiet. It was quiet the weekend, and I even said to my daughter, I'm like, wow, I ain't heard no mariachi music, and I got, Mexican neighbors behind me on the side. I'm like, you don't hear nothing. Normally it'd be all night long. And they have fireworks.
Live bands everywhere, especially in my neighborhood.
Nothing. I didn't hear nothing. Yesterday, nothing. Sunday was Cinco de Mayo. Yeah, I thought maybe on Saturday, maybe Friday, nothing. It was quiet as a church house mouse. And I noticed that. But yeah, it might be. I think it does have a lot to do with Trump. I think it does.
But the thing is, the reason I brought that up is the fact that even in what's going on in the modern age, they're on code. They're all on code, because a lot of them aren't illegal. A lot of them are here, in right status, but notice they're on code. They don't want to get caught up. They're keeping a low profile. It isn't like, from my understanding, I watch YouTube all the time. I don't see them like whispering to each other, okay, look, on you, keep it down. And, they ain't doing this. It's like they are on code and I say this all the time when people talk about, oh, why can't blacks do in America? Why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we doing that? In China, they're doing this. In Germany, they're doing that. They're one people. They don't deal with the different groups fighting for the resources, the limited resources that are here in the United States. We're one of the only countries where you got Africans, you got Asians, and and even with when you say Asian, within that group, there's a bunch of groups within that group. You got the Latin Americans, you got a bunch of groups in that, and everybody's fighting for the piece of the pie. So this is why there's a constant aggregate of fighting in the United States of these different groups. You go to Japan, there's one people. You go to Vietnam, there's one people. You go to the Philippines, there's one people, one thought, one culture. And these people, again, it was very, very quiet. And like I said, I'm 90 miles from the border. And I'm thinking, this weekend, it was going to be blasting off and all the parties are going to happen. Nothing, zero. And I will say this, Black people, we have to start getting on code with each other. As I look at what's going on, and I'm not telling people what to do and how to do it, but our lives are, most of us are doing what we've always been doing, just partying, twerking. I mean, you were talking about the twerking thing that was going, we're just into this. It's almost like we're not paying attention to what is happening. And with this incident, with the racism, if these people are getting comfortable and baiting people, we got to get the message out to get on code and we understand what's going on around us.
And I would just say this in closing, and I think a lot of the not hearing a lot about the Cinco de Mayo celebration has to do with the big FU to white supremacy. Of course, like you said, they are on code. And I've seen a lot of them say, don't have y'all pasty selves in our establishments talking about some Cinco de Dranko, because that's what they like to do. And it really, honestly, May 5th is an American holiday. It's not something Mexico celebrates at all. Their Independence Day is actually September 16th or something like that. Now, of course, Cinco de Mayo came from when Mexico beat the French at Battle of Puebla in 1862. So if you listen to a lot of Mexicans, they're like, we don't really celebrate that. That's more of American Day. And it actually became more corporate than anything. It was a corporation grab so they could sell more beer and things like that. But yeah, I even heard last year after Trump won, it was like, y'all people stay out of our establishments. Do not come in there, try to have a drink with us and none of that. We are not celebrating. In fact, y'all do that on your own. That's not our holiday. That's white people's Cinco de Mayo actually really belongs to white people. Now you might hear them again turn up in September. That's something that more Mexico celebrates, but not so much here because you have Mexicans here. Maybe they'll celebrate it, but yeah, Cinco de Mayo is a white corporate holiday. So that's probably why they're doing it too. They're like, man, the hell with that. Y'all really, because see, other thing too about Latin people, Latinos, you thought fat meat was greasy, didn't you? You thought it was greasy. You thought the gringo, right? I know a little Spanish, okay? Y'all thought those was y'all. We don't like them blacks on, we don't like them blacks. Think the blacks. And then, because my daddy told me this a long time ago, I knee high to a grasshopper. He says the Mexican, as far as not his words, the Mexican is the new N-word in regards to white people. And the Mexican don't want to be that. So they try to get in, like Flynn, with white people. Same thing the Indian did, right? With black. They try to get in. Oh, we don't like the blacks. I'm not black. I'm white. Now, I told you I used to work for the census. So I know that when you ask them what they are, they would say I'm white. Now, damn, I'm a lot more browner than me. They talk about, but I cannot tell them because they have to self-identify. But I would see it with my own eyes that I'm white. Okay. You're white, right? But now they've gotten their wake-up call. This is why I know a lot of y'all don't like it. This is why I said Trump's presidency was necessary, more so than political, but an awakening for a lot of people. White people, Latin people, Asian people, because guess who's getting hurt the most? Well, it's one of the people that's getting hurt the most by the tariffs. The Asians, because they set up nicely. They got their own little grocery stores. They got everything. But where do you think they're getting that stuff from? They're getting it from Asia.
Yep, their supply chain's been disrupted. Yep.
Yeah. So and they really do the group economics thing, right? They probably, I don't hardly ever see an Asian person in Kroger, right? They're mostly in their own stores. So when that supply begins to dry up, they're going to be hurt with the tariffs because they're going to have to pay that very high price, especially in China. They're going to have to pay to get over here. And that's when their resources are going to start to dry up. So I say that a Trump presidency was necessary. Not that I agree with most of the things he was doing, he's doing. I like some of them. I'm going to say that. But it was necessary because everybody thought, oh, not me. It's the equivalent of a mama, the teacher telling the mama, your child is acting up in school. Not my baby. And then they realize it is your baby. So everybody else is realizing, oh, you mean white supremacy don't like me? Hell, white supremacy don't even like white people. White supremacy, they're not in the sticks of Alabama with the white people. They ain't talking about them. They're talking about the oligarchs and people who may be able to, mow their grass. I don't know. But everybody's getting a rude awakening that it wasn't just the blacks. Now you're getting your tail kicked in. But the great thing is, everybody's been talking about, black people, I don't like to say we're used to the struggle like it's normal, because it shouldn't be. It's been normalized, the systemic and institutional racism and a whole other stuff in between. But we know how to get it out the mud. We know how to say, hey, I ain't got much, but the little bit of much that I don't have, you can have some of it. And we're going to stretch it, wash it. We know how to do that. These other groups, not so much. So we needed this awakening. But Latinos, y'all learned it was your baby, huh?
And real quick before we go, as you know, the P. Diddy trial, Sean Combs trial, has started in jury selection. They offered him a plea deal, to plead guilty and get a lesser sentence, and he rejected it. So based on that information, Demetra, what do you think is his defensive strategy? Do you think that they have the goods to get an exoneration of that, or?
And just for a couple more minutes, I'm going to say this, and I mean this in all love to anybody. I still listen to some of P. Diddy's music, or whatever the case is. Finna Get Loose is one of my favorite songs by him and Pharrell. So I just want to say that. But I want to say after that, F. P. Diddy. You know why I say F. P. Diddy? Because P. Diddy made his bed and he has to lie in it, whether he's guilty or not. I think P. Diddy did some funky things. How guilty is he? I don't know. We saw the Cassie tape. That's wrong. I think you need to pay for that, however it is. But I say F. P. Diddy because you kept on doing the stuff, even after all these people kept coming after you. You owe me money. You did this. You did that. And you kept on doing the foolishness. So F. P. Diddy, because black people got more things to focus on. And this is what I'm going to tell y'all. They're going to keep throwing the P. Diddy thing out there so we can keep talking about it while we keep being distracted by whatever it is they're trying to distract us from. But to answer the question, I don't think they got what they think they have, because if they did, they wouldn't have offered him a plea deal. From what I understand too, they're not even going to admit the Cassie tape in anymore right now, from what I heard. So I think they understand probably the RICO charge and all that other stuff they put on them. They probably really realize there's a bunch of freaky people getting together, do some freaky things, using some freaky substances, and maybe somebody was like, "Oh, I did that last night." Yeah. Well, I don't, you know what I mean? And plus the other thing too is Diddy stupid because you're a billionaire and there's you hanging around some people who ain't got the money you got. And when you using people, see, that's why you got to be careful. When you using people and here's a couple of dollars, thank you for your anus, they might say, what the hell? I really, no pun intended, got the short end of the stick with no baby oil. So I think I'm going to say he did something to me that I really didn't sign up for. I don't know. I'm not saying he didn't do something to some people. I think it was mostly willing, but then it's like, oh, I wonder if I could shake him down. Now, I think Cassie deserved what she got. All these other people, and they got to keep in mind, a lot of those lawsuits have been dismissed, right? For shakiness or whatever the case is. But I think it's going to be interesting. He could spend most of the rest of his life in prison for not, and nobody knows what the plea deal was. Clearly, it wasn't something he wanted to do. It's going to be interesting. So
yeah, like I said, good luck to him. But like I said, for him to turn down whatever the plea deal was, obviously his defense thinks that they have a case where they can win this. So because if they didn't think they could win it, I'm very sure they would have said, look, you need to take the plea deal. So
yeah, I agree with you. I think that's what it is. I think they're like, nah, they ain't got the smoking gun they originally said that they had. It's going to be very interesting. It doesn't sound like it's going to be televised because it's a federal case, but they got reporters going in and out. You know, of course, they're going to give you the details because they want to get the clicks and the likes and the views.
And just a quick follow-up. Let's say hypothetically he gets acquitted. Do you think P. Diddy is going to be the same person in the public sphere? You know what I mean? I know he's an older man now, whatever, but you know what I mean? It's like, you're going to get acquitted. And let's just say he beats the rap and he's back out here. Do you think he's good? I really think let's say he does get acquitted. This is what I think. He's going to be fighting lawsuits for the rest of his life. That's what I think.
Well, I mean, he's already fighting them, but again, a lot of them are getting dropped. You know what I mean? I think he'll be the same. Same thing like R. Kelly. R. Kelly just didn't know when to stop. You know, because one thing about us, we do have amnesia, and we like to be entertained. And a lot of people just, you know, with the free Diddy type of stuff. And like I said, I don't have a dog in a fight. I think it's messed up if they're trying to put something on him he doesn't deserve. I just think Diddy is probably more immoral than probably illegal. You know, I'm sure a lot of illegal things that went on, but were the people willing? That's the question. You know, and I think that's the question his attorney has to get down to. Were they willing? Yeah, he did little druggy drugs. It's not legal, but hell, I didn't make nobody do it, right? You know what I mean? You know, and hell, we ain't never been to no freak off, but we've heard about them, right? So I kind of, you know what I'm saying? To me, it's the question of were you willing? And then in hindsight, it's like, you know what I mean? So I don't know. It just remains to be seen. But anyway, we love and appreciate every last one of y'all. We'll be back here at 5 p.m. God willing. We're on tornado watch. Hopefully it doesn't hit here or anything like that. Hopefully it's, you know, y'all pray with us here. But I don't know what we'll talk about, but whatever it is, it will be interesting. We won't be here long because Donovan has got to get to City Hall. They sent out the bat signal. Donovan, we need you. They called his little bat phone. So he's got to get there and, you know, make some stuff shake. So meantime, y'all, if y'all would love to donate to the channel, love and appreciate you for that. If not, please like and subscribe at the very least. See y'all in a little bit. Peace.